your grace and patience. So yes, we do come now to review accounts payable and payroll disbursements with Finance Director Ryan Post. Director Post.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair Pro Tem, Board of Commissioners. This evening we have an accounts payable claims list totaling $2,739,736.14 is presented for review. Of this total, the Board of Commissioners is asked to approve claims totaling $2,680,053.68. Payroll disbursements totaling $4,420,967.63 are presented for the April 15th elected and general payrolls. With that being said, we welcome any questions from the Board of Commissioners.
Any question for the commission? Seeing none. Thank you, Director Post. Next, we'll move to item 4, monthly investment report with our Chief Deputy Treasurer, Tyler White. Welcome, Tyler.
Thank you, Chair. Getting right into it, as of March 31st, the county's investment portfolio had a par value balance of $185,834,582.40 and a market value of $184,978,426.02. The mark-to-market variance between par and market values is $856,156.38. It's an improvement of just over $3,700 from February. As a reminder, our mark-to-market variance only impacts the county's bottom line. If we were to liquidate our portfolio, our strategy is to hold assets until maturity to avoid any losses. For the month of March, our portfolio earned $640,580.83 on an average daily balance of $175,372.75.68. It's an effective rate of return on the county's investments of 4.3%. Rate of returns inclusive of all gains, losses on sales and maturities, as well as amortization of investment premiums and discounts. Of the $640,000 that we earned, $412,860.16 relates to the general fund and budget stabilization investment pools. And for the year, our portfolio has earned $1,829,520.83 on an average daily balance of $170,872,304.81. It's an effective rate of return on the county's investments for the year of 4.34%. Like monthly, it's inclusive of all amortization, realized gains, losses, sales, maturities for both the monthly and annual. Note that if we assume the rest of the year follows a similar trend to what we've earned over the last 3 months, we're on track to earn $7.31 million in 2025. That said, it's been a newsworthy month for markets. Uncertainty about tariffs, global trade, the nation's broader economic policies is expected to have an impact on the county, though it's not clear what that will look like. Treasury has continued to invest in some of our longer-term options, trying to lock in higher rates while we have them in the event that a recession takes place and the Federal Reserve is cutting rates, anticipating that folks need relief, maybe inflation continues to go up. Do they raise it? It's not clear. And if anybody in Treasury knew exactly what would happen, we would be on Wall Street right now. The simple fact of the matter is it's a lot of hurry up and wait. That said, our portfolio is Public Act 20 compliant. We're well insulated from a lot of the market value fluctuations that you guys will see updates from the news about. But we may see lower returns if cuts do take place, trying to give the public some relief if a recession does take place. As soon as we know any info, we will keep you all posted with monthly updates. If there's more news in the immediate term, it's easy enough. We'll send you all emails to keep you posted on our strategy should anything change. That said, inflation over the last 12 months through March was 2.4%. That's down from 2.8% inflation in February, and our 4.34% rate of return, higher than inflation. We experienced a net gain in purchasing power of 1.94%. And that inflation is spread across food, up 3%, energy commodities or fuel, down 9.5%, energy services or utilities, up 4.2%, shelter, up 4%, transportation services, up 3.1%, medical services, up 3%, and other commodities, so vehicles, apparel, medical commodities, down 0.1%. I'd be happy to answer any questions y'all may have about where we stand.
Vice Chair Taylor.
Just really quick, the pooled funds, it's about 38% of our current investments. Is that traditionally at a 38% level, or is that unusually high?
That's holding money that we put in there that we're actually going to be turning around this month. It's our final tax revolving fund settlement. It's about 14 million, which is why this month it's 185,000 in our portfolio balance, as opposed to about the 170 million portfolio balance that we've had over the past couple of months. So that's
it says pooled funds $70,182,785.37. Am I looking at the wrong?
Sorry, I was referring to the total portfolio balance, not just the pooled funds.
Yeah, my question is the percentage of pooled funds that encompass the overall balance being 38%. Is that normal? I noticed that we're only earning about 1.55% on those pooled funds. Is a lot higher. I know it's this liquidity reasons, but I guess my question is, do we need 70 million in liquidity?
Again, that's only because we're holding about 15 million in that liquid state that we're turning around this month. And as far as what the portfolio details are giving you, it's higher than 1.94%. What Simpro generates for us with our investment reporting is, according to the program, the earnings for that are 0% because it fluctuates with any sort of money market funds. So when it's trying to calculate, it's using 0 as a basis and not the actual returns. All actual earnings are what we're keying in from our statements, from our pooled funds. And so if we were to take a look at what we earned for some of our pooled funds from, say, our partners with Michigan Class or PFM Asset Management, those that fall into that pooled funds bucket. For example, this average monthly yield is 4.41%, right? That's part of that. That's not calculated in that number that you're seeing because that varies.
Okay, so the number that I'm seeing that I've got labeled Kalamazoo County Investments Portfolio Management Portfolio Summary, the pooled funds percentage, the year-to-date 365 equivalent is not an accurate percentage.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'll follow up just on that. Is it also because the term on those pool funds, I mean, those are funds that are moving. So they're really, it lists 1 day till maturity, 1 day in the term because they're in transition is basically what's happening with the funds.
That's correct. It's not like one of our CDs where we've got a fixed term, a fixed rate that it can calculate based off of. All of the info that it has is drawn right from the statements that I'm manually entering each month. And so if it's trying to calculate something out, but it doesn't have a percentage to calculate off of, it doesn't have a fixed term to calculate off of, it takes it as a null entry, right? So that's not captured in there.
Thank you. And then one other question just related to bonds. I don't see, it's a fairly insignificant in terms of percentage of the portfolio. When we're looking at supranational agency bonds, then also municipal bonds. Though bonds are often very stable, there's been some instability in the bond market as well. Are you, along with consultation with our investment advisors, they weighing out that strategy? Normally bonds are a safer place to seek, but currently it doesn't look so.
As much as I wish I could say what the bond market would do, it's hard to predict. Yes, we're in consultation with all of our investment partners to try to say if they see more info than we do, right? we're one of their first calls. As far as what the bond market will do, whether or not outside investors believe that the United States is the safest option to stock their money, I sincerely hope it stays that way, because if there's a significant decrease in the bond market, we're not talking just a recession for us, but this could be another global financial crisis, right? Fortunately, at least so far, cooler heads seem to be prevailing when there's pauses on tariffs and negotiations going forward. But let's hope for the best on that.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? All right, Deputy Treasurer, appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll move to item 5. Our other items first is our discussion around retirement pension. And I don't know, Administrator, would you like to launch the discussion? Or is that?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So Chair, Vice Chair, Pro Tem, Commissioners, this evening we're rekindling the discussion on the retiree pension adjustment. So as you know, I think we spoke about this sometime in March, perhaps, or maybe even February. There's been some discussions between myself and the proponents of the proposed adjustment in between. And so what we have kind of proposed is there's about 3 options, I believe, that the board had considered a while back. One had we had received a pension actuarial on a 1% increase for every year that a retiree has been retired since the last time an adjustment was made. So that has some implications. And then one was a 1.5% annual increase for every year that they've been retired. Vice Chair Taylor wanted an actuarial completed on a 1% for every 3 years retired. So we also compiled that data. Our actuary at GRS compiled that. And so those are the options before you. Anything in between, if the board wanted to do anything in between, we would have to order another actuarial so that it all is required by statute. And that can be done, but at least I think this gives you a general sense of where funding would be impacted. And then also, obviously, there's an option to do nothing as well. So that's always out there. We have 3 proponents on the retiree side here present today. I believe that we also, so that's former sheriffs Mike Anderson, Tom Edmonds, and we also have former finance director Bill Dundon here that obviously spoke during public comment. We also have from the Retirement Investment Committee, I believe Bob Salisbury is maybe online, because I don't think he's in the audience, so he might be online. And then also, I think our current finance director, Ryan Post, would like to share a few comments as well. So we can kind of at least start some discussion. We're happy to answer any questions if anything comes up.
Thank you, Administrator. Does anyone have questions we want to launch with, or we can begin to bring some of the experts forward to dialogue with us? Vice Chair.
I guess I just have one question, and this is probably sort of so that we're all on the same page. We're talking about those that are receiving payments. There's no sort of people that receive lump sums or took the lump sum payment. Is there any obligation for us to do anything with that as well?
No, that's an excellent question, Vice Chair. So this only contemplates those that are receiving the annuity. So the lump sum, I guess, takers would not receive any sort of an adjustment. Yeah.
All right, at this time, I don't know if we have our representative from Rick forward, but I don't know, Finance Director Post, would you like to come and share some thoughts for consideration with the board?
Thank you. Yes. Well, as the county's current chief financial advisor, I felt it was very important. I spoke to Administrator Catlin to bring some facts. Mr. Robert Salisbury, I believe he's online, and I want to kind of set the floor for him and bring a different angle, if I may. So I've been back in Kalamazoo County for 2 years, and the last 2 years, what we've seen, I'm going to segue into the budget and tie this in my angle. The last 2 years, we've had funding requests, new funding requests themselves, 3 million in 24, 3.7 million in 2025. We've received well over $10 million in new funding requests from all the various departments in Kalamazoo County that include new positions, new initiatives, just simply to increase your operational costs that have been stagnant for decades. So along with that, the chief deputy treasurer was up here moments ago highlighting what I see as significant historic investments that Kalamazoo County's received. And I think you also commented on what the future may unfold. But as we look at the last 2 years since I've been in this seat, we know that a 1% COLA is $800,000 for any given employee. So as we factor these decisions and we understand these figures as we approach budget season, what it does for the future of Kalamazoo County, I have a good 7 different areas on the horizon that we don't know what those costs are. I know with the facilities master plan, for example, if there's going to be any new considerations for buildings, there'll be bonding for that. Bonding equals debt payments. Debt payments are supported from the general fund. We have a hotel, a transitional housing. We're still figuring out what those costs would be on an operational standpoint. We have indirect costs that I would think over the next few years, those are going to go down because grant funding may also go down. We've got some new programs that the county has created. The Tri-Share program, we know the annual cost of that is $125,000. We are now working towards a child care program that is geared at employees who do not qualify for the state's Tri-Share program. I can tell you today there's 30 employees enrolled in that Tri-Share program. That equals $125K. If we say 300 employees, for example, qualify for the non-Tri-Share, I would expect that payment to be about 1.25 million. So I'm bringing these costs on the horizon that we're going to be talking about in the next few months as it relates to the 2026 budget process. But there's a couple other facts that I just wanted to highlight here is when we consider these options to increase retirees' monthly benefits, there was really 3 from at stake. The first 2 were 1 and a 1.5% annual increase. The 1% increase is $900,000 new cost. The 1.5% increase each year is 1.4 million. So it's very important to understand those would become embedded in the county's ongoing operational costs each year. Those take away from those costs that I just mentioned that's on the horizon. Additionally, we have the third option that would be every 3 years. That amount equates to about 300,000 or 272K to be exact. I share that with you because as we move forward in the budget process, what happens if we consider the 1% or 1.5% increases each year, the funded ratio percent really gets close to 100%. So right now, when these figures were provided in these actuary studies, the 2024 actuary was not completed yet. In the 2024 actuary, it decreased from 109.8 to 108.2. That's a 1.6% reduction. When we factor these scenarios with that updated information, the 1% increase brings us down to 103.5% funded. The 1.5% increase each year brings us to 101.3% funded. Whereas the third scenario for 272,000 or a 1% each 3 year brings us down to 106.8. So I want to articulate those updated figures for you, as well as the fact of
Director
2 more
Post.
pieces of information.
I'm sorry to chime in, but I just want to get an understanding. We're hearing sort of that 100% funding level articulated like that's an emergency. 100% funded means fully funded.
Yes, ma'am.
So 106% funded means fully funded
Correct.
plus an additional
Correct.
6%.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
So there's two more points that coming from different angles now. You know, I can see that this pension has grown and it's done very well. And so with that being said, I can confirm that going back to 1996, there's never been one contribution from the general fund to this pension. The system has ridden, the market has taken this pension plan to where it is today. So that's one additional fact. The last one I just want to mention is since the year 2000 to 2024, there's been 844 retirees in Kalamazoo County, of which 52% or 437 of them have opted for the single sum option. So I wanted to bring that up today just to emphasize the fact, because Vice Chair Taylor commented on that earlier about, does this only impact those that have taken the lump sum? I would think that if a decision is made, that would be kind of an outlier. That may be the next domino to fall. So I just want to share all that information with you. And I would now defer to Mr. Bob Salisbury from the RIC committee, if I may.
Commissioner Morales has some questions.
So I'm hearing all you saying, so does that mean that the recommendation is okay, or the recommendation is gonna not be okay? And for you looking over there, you looking at the administrator. I know it's pressure, but I need to understand, because I think, I heard the recommendation. Is that gonna hurt us? Because you didn't even mention my emergency fund that I plan to have funded in perpetuity. So what is I haven't heard your recommendation. I've heard the numbers, but I need to hear from you, who handles our business. Is this a right move, or is it not a good move?
May I come back to that after
Absolutely.
Mr. Salisbury? I do have an answer. I just wanted to add that meat to the bone before I.
You gonna give me my answer?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I've got the response. I just would like to defer to
Thank
Mr.
you.
Salisbury, but I would like the opportunity to follow up if I may. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Post. I'm going to entertain Vice Chair Taylor.
Thank you very much. And I just want to say, Ryan, I so much appreciate you, because you're telling it exactly what we need to hear to make that decision. But as far as what is a good idea, that's why we all get paid the big bucks. We got to take, expert advice from a RIC committee, from our finance director, and then decide what is financially viable and what's morally right as well. So we've got to weigh both of those against each other. My question has to do with the Employee Benefits Fund. What has traditionally been the history of the last, say, 5 or 6 years? It's been my sort of understanding that the Employee Benefits Fund has been growing as a surplus. We actually used it to reduce that percentage that we were collecting on it, so that we could go up to a full 4% in the last year's budget. But my understanding is it still would be able to absorb, definitely not all of it, but a percentage of this increase of operational yearly dollars at 272 for once every 3 years, for instance. What is the structural surplus of the Employee Benefits Fund?
Great question. So yes, what Vice Chair Taylor is alluding to is the fringe rate for about a 7-year period was 42.9, and that was reduced to 40%, the 25 budget. And that did, by charging the 42.9%, did result with a surplus in that fund. We reduced that while also adding some benefits to it that the county's never seen before. So for example, the rule of 8, or the cash out 80 hours of lead time. I saw the numbers today. We're at $400,000 today. So we're a quarter, a little slightly through the year. I would expect that to probably get close to double that, right? So that is a new cost each year that would come out of the benefits fund. We also have a couple other initiatives on the horizon. I already touched on the Tri-Share program. We also have in the works, and I apologize where it's at in the approval process with the board, but a housing program benefit, right? That's coming along the lines. That's the benefits fund. The cost of insurance, I don't think I need to highlight any more on that topic because of that nature. So those costs are going up. There's other benefits, unfortunately, I neglected to mention, that are on the horizon that are going to be coming out of there. There is a $5 million policy that the board, has approved of, that's maintained in there. Right now, we're sitting about double that because of the spike of the later years of 42.9% fringe rate before we reduced it for the 25 budget. So I think it's something we just have to keep in front of us because of the cost. You also have to factor in that fringe rate is made up of grants, right? And in all the budgets. So as we look at our funding, as we look at our operational budgets, as we move forward, FTE does have an impact that refunds, if you would, or provides funding to the benefits fund.
So do we have an idea what our structural surplus is in our employee benefits fund?
I know that number right now. Yes, it's about 10 million that we're sitting on.
That's our cash on hand, and we have that policy of 5 million.
Yep.
So we're $5 million over
Yep.
policy. I'm looking at it as, and I know that we have increased our costs and reduced our fringe rate down to 40%. I'm looking at it as sort of that employee benefits fund also pays for some of this increased cost of what our employee contribution is to our retirement investment, correct?
So for the rule of 80, I believe there was a $750,000 cost for that.
That was a one-time cost.
Yes, yeah. And so that I can't remember if that was provided by the general fund or absorbed within that fund. I don't have that off the top of my head. But yes, to answer your question, that benefits fund has carried out where they are today. But I just want to reiterate, as we continue to add new programs, the child care, for example, I already hit on that. If we look at the Tri-Share program, we have 30 employees and it costs us $125K. If we had, say, 300 employees, and I'm not necessarily talking about employees, I'm talking about children. So that would be, if we look at that model, that would be 1.25 million just on that estimate.
The reason I'm trying to ask and trying to ascertain what our structural surplus is in our employee benefits fund is because that structural surplus, in my mind, would cover at least a portion of this increased cost, yearly employee contribution costs. So to say, for instance, not that I am in favor of a $1.5 million a year or 1.5% increase. I am not each year. I don't think we can afford it. But to say that it would cost us 1.5 out of our general fund operating dollars, if we have a structure, if we could ever figure out what our structural surplus is for our employee benefits fund year after year, I know that surplus will be down since we lowered it from 42.9 to 40. And as you alluded to, we also have a lot of different benefits drawing down on that. But in my opinion, I still think I would like to know if there is a structural surplus in our employee benefits fund so that would offset our increased operational costs. If we were to move ahead with any sort of increase in COLA, that would cover our operational costs in my mind, or our increased operation. We'd still have those one-time costs, but part of that ongoing yearly operational cost would be covered by, again, the surplus in the employee benefits fund. We should figure out what that is year after year so that we can start doing better budgetary planning on things like this.
Commissioner Morales also had something. Thank you. All right. Let's bring our representative from Retirement Investment, Mr. Salisbury.
Yes, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. And I appreciate the opportunity to comment. I'm just going to repeat some of the numbers that Mr. Post already reviewed with you. But from the Retirement Investment Committee's standpoint, the cost of a COLA is fairly significant. And just to repeat, where your current contribution is just over $2.5 million per year, the 1% COLA would increase that by 36%, or an increase of about $900,000 per year. The 1.5 would increase it by 53%, or about $1.4 million a year. And even the 1% every 3 years would increase it by 10%, about $272,000. So from the standpoint of our committee, the important point is that while we are overfunded at this point in time, your actuary is actually amortizing some of that overfunded position to reduce the amount that you have to contribute on an annual basis. And if you provide a COLA, it's actually going to increase the amount of your annual contribution, and that annual contribution will increase on an annual basis. It's just not a one-time cost. So I know in many respects, I'm just repeating what Mr. Post has already said, but our whole point is that it's a costly exercise to provide a COLA to retirees.
Vice Chair Taylor.
Yes, thank you very much. And that ongoing cost, again, is paid out of our employee benefits fund. So correct in that assumption. That's how we set our fringe rate. That fringe rate we're charging to departments goes into an employee benefits fund that we were charging 42.9% to all departments. And that fund was slowly raising, and it rose over $10 million. Now, the reason that an overfunded account, I'll just be honest, I'm going to say a couple things that are contradictory towards each other because I completely see both sides of this. And I think doing the right thing is probably going to not make either side happy. But we have a lower contribution, employee contribution to our retiree because we're overfunded. Hence, we're supplementing county government on the backs of our retirees. That we've been doing that for 21 years. And for if anything comes out of this process, we need to have in place every 3 years, every 5 years, some sort of set time where we as a board look at our retiree benefits so it doesn't go 21 years again, and this doesn't happen again. Now, that being said, I am in favor of a COLA increase for every 3 years at 1%. That's going to cost us ongoing operational cost. It says here $272,000. I don't believe it's going to come out $272,000 out of our general fund because I believe we have a structural surplus in our employee benefits fund that will absorb a percentage of those ongoing operational costs. We will have a one-time cost, and our percentage of overfunded will drop from 109 to 106, I think it was, or 105, which I'm comfortable with. That's where I stand on this. And I know that the retirees are probably not overly happy with only getting 1% for every 3 years when inflation has been much higher than that. And I know that finance and other people won't be happy because we're committing ourselves to an ongoing operational thing when we look at benefits, and we're going to maybe have to raise our fringe rate a little bit if we're going to add stuff to this in the future. We're also going to have a one-time cost, of which I think we can do it. I think the cheaper of the three options here with the COLA is the 1% for every 3 years. That's what I'm in favor of. And I know no one is going to be happy with that result, whether it be finance or retirees, but I think that's what we can afford. And that's balancing what is fiscal responsibility with moral responsibility as well.
Commissioner Morales.
Thank you. So what is our employee contribution, and has it been raised? Can somebody remind me that?
There's no employee contribution. It's the employers.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Could I make one more comment?
So I'll share some. Well, go ahead, Mr. Salzman.
Yeah, so I heard one suggestion that maybe there should be a regular pattern of COLA increases for retirees over a period of time. This actuarial analysis assumes that there will be only one COLA. And my understanding is that if you establish a pattern of setting COLAs on a regular basis, the cost will be even higher. Ryan, would you confirm that?
Mathematically, that would be true.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we make a commitment to cost of living increases, they have reverberating impacts on the retirement plan and the stability. So I just want to lift up some things from my perspective as well. So we grapple with a lot of budget priorities during the budget process, and we have had the resources to have those dialogues. And ultimately serving the community and advancing the well-being of housing and health and safety is what we're here to do. But we do those things because we attract, retain, and support employees. As we've had this dialogue around what should we consider, what can we do, it's very clear to feel the tension between current employees and a fear that it places jeopardy upon the security of their retirement, and retirees who watch the purchasing power of a shrinking benefit impact their quality of life. And what we have to recognize in our discussion, and ultimately when we come to a resolution, is that both of those points of view must be centered, right? So before we're thinking about what we're doing with an admin building, we first think about our people. How do they feed themselves? How do they survive? How do they have a decent quality of life? And how do we best ensure that in gratitude for their service to the county? So I have some questions to help me sort of frame these things up. First, for current employees, I want you to know that I think it's a commitment from the board and from leadership that we are steadfast in protecting the security of your retirement benefit. It is a priority and will be a priority in whatever solution we find. Now, when you read generally about what creates a strong defined benefit program, there's sort of an arbitrary benchmark that's set in a lot of the literature as 80% funded. And certainly that is arbitrary. 80% is not fully funded, 100% is fully funded. In general, when a fund becomes under 80%, it is seen as deeply unhealthy. Over the last 20 years, how many years have we been under 100% funded? That's right, 0. I know the answer to that already, but to articulate, there have been 0 years that we've been under 100% funded. We also want to think about the obligation of the plan in relationship to the financial size of our organization, from our revenue, our assets, and our payroll. And I don't know if this is evaluated through the actuarial assessment that we go through, but we're a strong and financially healthy organization at this time. We have a robust fund balance. We have an over policy balance on the retirement benefit fund. And that has happened through concerted and conservative financial decision-making over the last number of years. One of the other things, though, that has significant impact on what we're thinking about is the level of investment volatility. And if we were having this dialogue a couple years ago, would be in a different position than in a volatile economic space that we are in right now. And that is a reality, unfortunately. And another, I guess this is more of a question, but in the actuarial assumptions that have been utilized, I'm assuming that our actuaries have used sort of a consistent set of assumptions. So they've used a conservative approach. They're not changing the assumptions in the actuarial review. And all of those things indicate a strong health for the retirement fund. Vice Chair?
Just really quick to answer your question, we just changed last summer. We changed a lot of assumptions in our actuarials to make it far more conservative and assumptions, and that lowered our percentage because of our assumption changes. It wasn't any investments one way or the other. Correct me, what was it, Director Post? It was either last summer or maybe the summer before that, we changed some of the assumptions in our actuarial base, and that lowered us from like 114 to 112. It was a small percentage, but just changing those assumptions lowered our percentage, correct?
I believe I've got Bob online still to phone a friend, but I believe we made no changes based on the 5-year study from the previous 5-year experience study, except one minor tweak. Very confident that would be reflected in 2024 was when that experience study was conducted. So it would be, all the information would be included in that brief. Yep.
Did that tweak lower our percentage funded from by about around 2%, as I recall it?
1.6.
1.6%.
I can't factually say that was the reason why that it reduced. Yeah, I can't factually comment that was the reason why.
No, it's all right. Thank you, Vice Chair. So also to just lift up, there are two primary factors to consider that create additional risk for a defined benefit plan. That's when we extend additional benefits, which is what the discussion is, and it inherently in itself does present some risk. And then the other is insufficient contributions. So we have funds available to address contribution either through the employee fund or there are potentially other options. We have no employee contribution to the fund. So those are things that I guess one other that I want to articulate, defined benefit plans have become much more rare. But one that most of us are familiar with is called Social Security. You retire at a certain age based on a multiplier of the income that you've earned, you received a benefit. Social Security, they rightly evaluate a cost of living adjustment for Social Security beneficiaries, because if they did not do that, the purchasing power of that benefit would shrink to nothing. So that balance between protecting the solvency for our current employees, but also promising to them and to our retirees that the benefit doesn't just turn into dust between your fingers is what we have to balance. I guess do we have any other comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Kistler.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, you'll have to forgive me because I know either I or John or maybe it was Dale Sugars asked this question in the last few years. I thought, did away with defined benefit retirement plans and went to basically a 401k contribution. Is that not the case?
We still have a defined benefit.
Oh, I'm not questioning that we have it. I'm just saying, did it come back out of a death or whatever?
We looked at a number of years ago, I think it was about 8 years ago or so, we looked at changing from a defined benefit to a defined contribution plan. And crazily enough, this never happens. It was far more expensive for us to switch to a DC plan. Since we were overfunded on our defined benefit plan, our contribution was far lower than it would be if we had a defined a DC plan.
Because we were going to have to match.
We would have to match the employees' contribution.
I vaguely remember that, John.
So we are one of the very few. You tell somebody off the street, yeah, it's cheaper for us to stay with a defined benefit plan to go to a defined contribution plan. People are, well, what? Because the defined benefit plan is the holy grail. I mean, that's the best sort of option that you can have for the safety of your retirees. It's actually cheaper for us to go with the better plan than it would be to switch because we've been overfunded. And part of that is the reason I stated earlier, our contribution to that plan has been smaller than if we were to do a defined DC plan because we've been funding county government partially on what we should be giving to retirees. So that's why I am in favor of doing something. Now, I don't think we can give a 1 or a 1.5% every year. I don't think we can afford that. But
thank you.
I'll just note I disagree with that last point. I do think that we can afford more than 1% every 3 years, but there are other approaches that can be considered as well. Additionally, a one-time payment can also be considered. It can be prorated based on the years of service. We do not have an actuarial evaluation of the impact of that. Is that correct, Administrator?
May you repeat your question, please?
Thank you. I'm sorry. I know you're multitasking. I appreciate you. If we've evaluated the actuarial impact of a one-time payment to retirees.
We have not done that only because we would need to know at what amount would need to be determined, and then we could share that information with GRS, and then they could calculate that out for us. Yep.
And if there's, I know we've spent much research and discussion and dialogue already, and I'd like to afford our retirees a moment to comment as well. But I think a better understanding of the structural surplus year over year in that benefit fund. And additionally, we've talked about advancing policy in the future. I think rather than arbitrarily setting number of years, I think we should have a funding level that articulates a review within the budget process. So if we're over 100% funded, that we at least evaluate and have a dialogue around it. I think that's reasonable. Commissioner Morales.
So you opened up the Pandora box that I was going to ask about, if we could do something in a lump sum. Now, if we did that, does that still mean that you feel like in 3 years that 1% is enough, or you still want more than 1%? And how would that affect the budget if how many folks are we looking at that we are giving this lump sum to? 400? 407. So how would that math look? And then if so, with the retirees that are here, if we gave you a lump sum, would you be okay with the 1% every 3 years after? I mean, I know you can't answer me now, but.
See, Commissioner Gisler.
Thank you. I'm going to address the question to you, Chair, but it's really going to be answered by the chair of the Pension Investment Committee, I think, or maybe Ryan. Did you recommend a one-time payment and then come back at some interval after that and be having the same discussion? One payment at this point would buy, in essence, some time for retirees, but it's not committing us to anything ongoing except maybe come back and review it every so often. Don't let me put words in your mouth, Bob.
Good. Thank you, Commissioner Gisler, for taking that through the chair. Mr. Salisbury, would you like to address that if a recommendation from the RIC was a one-time payment?
It wasn't a recommendation. It was just a suggestion that you consider that as an alternative.
Commissioner
So
Morales?
as an alternative, so my question is, do that as the alternative and then we stick to the 1% every 3 years? Or that's an X out, we're not doing the 1% every 3 years?
So if you look at it strictly from the standpoint of the pension fund, the one thought would be that you consider the one-time payment from your fund outside of the pension fund. You talked about an employee benefit fund that I don't fully understand. But if you're trying to preserve the integrity of the pension fund, it would be better to make the payment outside of the pension fund so that you're retaining what you have within the pension fund. That's just one alternative that you may want to consider.
Vice Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, I've always felt that our employees are the backbone of our county, and as it's been articulated by many of my colleagues up here, that we want to do something. I'm concerned about the pension fund being not funded enough. I think Vice Chair Taylor feels that we'd be okay. I trust his judgment on some of that. My question would be is if we went with a funding plan outside of the retirement plan, where would that money come from, and would we be able to accomplish that in the near future? Like fairly soon.
Vice Chair.
First off, I taking money for retirees outside of our pension fund, it doesn't make any sense to me. When you have a fund that's been 0 years, as the chair said, over the last 24, over 100%, that's what that fund is for. And I no way would I vote to take any general fund dollars from to pay pensionees when we have an overfunded pension account. That makes absolutely no sense to me. As far as the 13th check, I think that's an option and it's a potential option. I'm not saying that I'm opposed to it, but I will say that one of the things that we got here over 21 years of time, if we had something that we looked at every 3 years, and I'm not saying we give a COLA or a percentage every 3 years. I'm saying we look at what our pension fund is, how much overfunded it is. We look at what our contributions are every 3 years, and we make a determination, either a 13th check or nothing, or a COLA or whatever in between.
Basically, have this discussion again.
Have this discussion every 3 years, not have this discussion every 21 years. That's how we got into this problem, is because we waited and waited and waited. And every time commissioners, and I've been on a lot of these boards where commissioners have said, let's do a 13th check. Commissioner Buskirk used to always say, let's do a 13th check on our pension. And it was always shot down by finance and administration. Always shot down by finance and administration. That's how we got into the situation that we are now, because we didn't really address the problem. That being said, I think we can afford that $272,000 operational cost that would come from a 1% every 3 years. My guess and my gut tells me, and I don't know this, but a majority of it would come from our employee benefits fund overfunded. That's how we make our contributions to our retirement fund every single year, is from our employee benefits fund. We pay for a lot of other things out of that fund as well, but we charged a fringe rate of 42.9. Now we dropped it down to 40. That's how we paid it. We have, in my mind, a structural surplus. We probably still do. I don't know. I'd have to look at the numbers. My gut tells me we have a structural surplus that would cover most, if not all, of that $272,000 a year that we would have to contribute on top of what we're currently contributing. Now, the one-time payments that would come out would drop our percentage from 108 to 103. If we were to do more than that, I would be very hesitant. I don't think we can afford more than that. If we want to look at a 13th check, then I'm okay with that. But the 21 years, giving somebody a 13th check that retired last year, there's no equity in that. And somebody that retired 21 years that has received the exact same flat payment for 21 years and they get a 13th check. Well, somebody that retired last year, they get a 13th check. Unless it was prorated based on years of service, I don't think a 13th check makes sense, just from an equity standpoint.
No, that would be, if we consider that as an option, a prorated approach would be my preference, not just an additional monthly benefit payment. Because it also, it's confusing to the recipients of the pension fund, and I don't think 13 check is sort of what we want to refer to it as or structure it as. We have, advocates for retirees. I would also like to welcome if you'd like to make an additional comment. And if not, that's fine. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. This is off the script, and I hope my colleagues don't shoot me for it, but so be it. I would like to share with you my background, because my role at the county was entirely different from your current finance director. When I joined the county in 1987, I worked in the Human Service Department. Wes Freeland recruited me to take in his deputy position within a year. And when Wes became county administrator, I became finance director. One of the tasks that Wes assigned to me was staff to the Retirement Investment Committee. Also, I handled entirely the pension plan for the county administratively. I did the actuarial report, their database at the end of the year. I reviewed with Gabriel Roeder the document. I signed off on every benefit calculation that went in to Gabriel Roeder. I consulted with retirees, described the options that the choices they had.
So I was very familiar with the retirement system. I retired in February 2009. I intended to retire December 2008. My replacement was not hired in time, so I spent 2 extra months at the county finishing up projects I was working on. In coordination with Peter Battani, I work for Wes Freeland, Randy Taronis, Don Gilmer, and Peter Battani, 4 county administrators. In consultation with my replacement, who came in November, I did the 2009 budget. I put that paragraph in the budget with Peter Battani's agreement that said that every 3 years there would be a look at providing COLAs for retirees. I don't know why it disappeared in the final budgets, but Wes Freeland told me that that budget is your Bible. It provides you guidance. And historically, there has been a retirement COLA every 3 years. When I was contacted by Mike Anderson to get involved in this thing, we talked about what options. I've run calculations. I've got a briefcase full of papers there. I've probably got a stack of papers that high that running proposals and calculations. I think that our position is we looked at 3 different options. I convinced my colleagues that one of the options was way too expensive. That's why we have presented to you a 1% and a 1.5% option. We figured that we wanted to give you choices. We knew it was going to cost money, but as has been mentioned, part of the reason you're overfunded right now is because you've ignored retirees. You and your predecessors, not you specifically, have ignored retirees for 21 years, 24 years. The last one was granted in 2001 for 98, 99, and 2000. Some retirees have lost 72% of the purchasing power of their benefits. There's 407 retirees, beneficiaries on the rolls as of December 31. I have not given COLAs in my calculation, which I've shared with Kevin, which went to Gabriel Roeder for the 2024 retirees. That leaves 397 people who have lost anywhere from 0 to 72% of the purchasing power of their benefit. I retired in 2009. Sheriff Edmonds retired the same year. We've lost 46% of our purchasing power. You mentioned Medicare. Well, I got news for you. Medicare uses a CPI that's not representative of the expenses of seniors. There is a CPI for seniors. They granted a 2.5% gross adjustment this year, but Medicare went up 6%. So we got 1%. As far as our proposals to you, we do not favor the 1% every 3 years. That's basically 1/3% per year. It really doesn't compensate the retirees for the lost purchasing power.
Did you gentlemen have discussion about lump sum payments as an option?
We favor the 1% option. We understand that there's underlying issues or other issues that you folks have to deal with. The 1% basically on average, and this is the average for all 397 people, gets their future benefit up pays them back for about 1/3 of the lost purchasing power. The 1.5% pays them back for about 50%, half of the lost purchasing power on average.
Thank you. I'll entertain briefly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be brief.
Thank you.
The 13th check is, as Vice Chairman Taylor's pointed out, is inequitable because the 13th check for a 20-year-old or 20-year retiree would be based on the salary that person retired at. And a 13th check for somebody that retired last year is based on their salary, which, by the way, includes compensation for inflation. You have increased the payments you make to your employees significantly, but not foolishly. It's all based on the fact that their cost of living has accelerated in many cases faster than you can bring up their salary.
What about rather than a 13th check, which I would not propose, but a prorated lump sum payment?
The problem with that is it's once. And it doesn't really address the problem. The problem here is one that has been adequately addressed by the commission. That is, it built up over 24 years. And if that is not cumulative, it is a one-time taxable event that then goes away the next year. And I would reiterate what Bill said. With all due respect, Vice Chair, we appreciate your support and understanding. You've been very helpful elucidating some of the issues. We have a problem with 1 and 3 just because it doesn't. Bill, what did you tell me? How many employees do we have that are drawing $1,000 or less?
48% of your retirees are drawing less than $1,000 a month.
Just for those virtually, it was shared 48% of the retirees are drawing less than $1,000 a month.
So
Thank you.
That illustrates, I think, the significance of a one-time check.
Commissioner
inadequately
Gissler?
Addressing that.
Yes, does that 48% reflect the lump sum retirees?
Oh.
They're out of the equation then?
They're out of the equation. Am I correct?
Our proposal is speaking only of retirees and the retirement. When somebody takes retirement, they have an option to get a single sum or lump sum. They have an option to take a straight life. They have an option to take an amount and the same amount be for their spouse, or they can have an option to take their amount and the spouse gets half. We're only dealing with the people who are drawing monthly benefits. And out of that monthly benefit comes health insurance if they're taking the county's provided Medicare supplemental insurance.
Thank you, gentlemen. If we may, I think we're going to need to have a little more discussion as a board before we move forward to opportunity for a final determination.
Thank you.
Appreciate very much the dialogue. Commissioner DeLue.
I just wanted to ask, unfortunately, one of them a question.
Good, I sent
you.
him. I sent him sitting. What's your question?
Do you know what percentage of retirees that you're talking about also receive Social Security?
We'll see if we might be able to answer that. So we do have some tables around the age of our retirees. People have an option of when they enroll in Social Security, but can anyone elevate the number of our retirees in the plan that are over the age of 65? We can seek that. We can seek that information then for Commissioner DeLue. Does that suffice? Thank you so much. All right, any other comments at this time from the commission? All right, very robust discussion. Appreciate everyone's expertise and advocacy. Thank you. Okay, we're going to continue to move forward. Next, we have review of proposed amendments to the Board of Commissioners bylaws and rules of procedure to amend the order of business of regular meetings. Corporation Counsel, would you like to take that up?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Corporation Counsel's office was directed to provide, excuse me, an amendment and resolution, which would amend the board appointment process, allowing for, allowing for recommendations made by the board appointment committees as it regards to Kalamazoo County Transportation Authority and Integrated Services of Kalamazoo to be conducted at the Board Appointments Committee with recommendation for consideration by this body. I'd like to also point out that I made a Scribner's error and that 5.6.8, the second sentence, is no longer applicable with this change, and that needs to be struck. But my office will handle that before this board considers the matter on its regular agenda, if you will.
Council also revises the order of the agenda for the regular business meeting, moving presentations after the adoption of the agenda as well, correct?
Yes, ma'am, that was the next item.
Okay.
And so
I'm sorry, yes.
No, that's fine. And so we have done that, and also we made the changes to the lettering, if you will, in the bylaws.
Thank you. Is there any questions or concerns from the commission? All right, we'll move forward. First reading, proclamation proclaiming April the 28th, 2025 as Workers' Memorial Day. Vice Chair Taylor, do you want to We can read it at the next meeting. We can read it now, or you could just speak to it, whatever you'd like.
I'll just speak to it. It's a pretty non-controversial. It's just workers, anybody, it's a Memorial's Day for anybody, workers, that have died on the job, whether bridges, electricians, police officers, anybody that has, died while working. It's their particular Memorial Day.
Thank you for bringing that forward, Vice Chair. All right, with that, we have a closed session on the agenda. Is there anyone who'd like to make our motion? Commissioner DeLu?
Make a motion to go into closed session, that we enter closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268 parent D to consider the purchase or lease of real property for county purposes.
Motion made by Commissioner DeLu, supported by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler,
Yes.
Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
Commissioner Ray. Yes. Chair Strips,
Yes.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler, Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler.
Yes.
8 yes.
What that motion carries, we'll move to closed session.
Madam Chair? Madam Chair, if
Thank you, Council.
we may just adjourn to the call of the chair.
Thank you so much. Adjourn to the call of the chair. I'll call us back to order for the committee of the whole, April 15th of 2025, and entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our closed session. Motion made by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, supported by Vice Chair Taylor. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, with that, we are adjourned. All right, it is 6:30. I'm going to call to order the Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for April the 15th, 2025. And we will start with our invocation and reflection. And this evening, I believe that is on me. Is it your turn? Please go, Tammy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair. When I was like in the past, the chair's never done that, so I thought I was after Commissioner Morales. So I invited Pastor Lindsay E. Bell from First United Baptist Church.
Amen. Come on.
Welcome, Pastor Bell. Please join us.
I guess I don't have to ask the church to say amen. Let us pray. God, our Heavenly Father, maker and creator of all that is good and perfect, we thank you for these thy servants who you have selected for you ordained governments, and you have placed them in a special place with the hearts and minds that they have for your people to distribute the resources to make Kalamazoo vibrant and collective effort for everyone in the community. We thank you for the hurdles that they have to jump through. We thank you, Father God, for the challenges that they face and do not back down. And we're praying, Father God, that you will continue to lead them in the work of securing the safety and well-being for all of your citizens. We love you and we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Bell.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right, moving on to our next clerk. Would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Wheeler, Commissioner DeLue,
Here.
Commissioner Gisler,
Here.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, Commissioner Mazer,
Here.
Commissioner Morales,
Present.
Commissioner Ray,
Present.
Chair Strebs,
Here.
Vice Chair Taylor.
Here.
8 present.
Thank you. We'll move to item 4, which is proclamations. First, we have item 2025-412, which is request for approval of a proclamation recognizing April 2025 as Kalamazoo Valley Community College Month. Entertain a motion. Motion made by Commissioner Morales, supported by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next is item 2025-414. This is a request for approval of a proclamation proclaiming April the 28th, 2025 as Workers' Memorial Day. Motion made by Vice Chair Taylor, supported by Commissioner Morales. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. That motion carries. And our next, I think Commissioner Morales would like to take this one up, please.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm gonna read the most important part because Pastor Bell don't like all the whereases. So, whereas Pastor Bell has extended his commitment beyond the walls of the church, serving on the board of directors of the United Way, co-founding Group Violence Intervention, GVI, to address gun violence and playing a vital role in Cradle Kalamazoo to reduce Black infant mortality in the region. And whereas FUBC stands as a beacon of faith, resilience, and community service, living up to its motto, the church in the center of the city, where Christ is the center of the church. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, I, Jennifer Strebs, Kalamazoo County Chair, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the laws of the Kalamazoo County in Michigan, do hereby proclaim March 29, 2025 as First United Baptist Church and Pastor Lindsay E. Bell Day.
We have a motion made by Commissioner Morales, supported by Vice Chair Taylor. I'm sorry, by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Pastor Bell. Yeah, that's for him. I'll give that to him. Commissioner Morales would like to present you with a copy of that proclamation. Pastor Bell, would you like to share any other words with us this evening? You're welcome. Thank you.
You all are very, very kind to offer the microphone to a preacher. Fortunately, it's after Sunday, so we're a little bit out of gas. So we do want to thank Commissioner Morales and Tammy, Sister Tammy, and all of those that have put forth effort to make this possible. First United Baptist Church celebrated 50 years of ministry. It is one of the first churches that came together as a result, or was started as a result of two churches coming together. We often hear of church fights and splits, and this is where two churches of the same faith came together and created First United Baptist Church. And so we have been serving for 25 years as pastor and leadership here. And we are endeavoring to make a footprint here in the city of Kalamazoo by making sure that we extend our services into the community of Kalamazoo. We don't want to be the church that's on the corner and not in the corner. And so we thank God for all of the many leaders that came before us, the many members, not just the pastors, that make a church a church. It's the whole body fitly joined together. And so we don't take for granted any of the members that the Lord sends our way to help us do what we need to do, and that is to make disciples and to help improve the well-being and quality of life for the members of Kalamazoo community. Thank you again.
Thank you for your ministry, Pastor Bell. Let's move forward next to item 5, communications. We received an online form submittal from Ruben David Osorio Sanders from Milestone Senior Services, inquiring about potential opportunities for additional funding. Are there any other communications board members wish to share? Right. Seeing none, we'll move forward to item 6, approval of minutes. This is item 2025-446, request of approval of the April 1st Committee of the Whole and regular meeting minutes. Motion made by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, supported by Vice Chair Taylor. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. We'll move to next to item 7, Vice Chair.
Chair, I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented, but that we move item 11, new business item 2025-459, that it be considered after item 8, public comment.
There is a motion. Is there support? Motion made by Vice Chair Taylor, supported by Commissioner DeLue. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Ray.
I just like to pull a couple items. 2025-436 and 2025-461.
436 and 461.
461.
Okay. We'll move those to non-consent, or do you want them to non-consent? Thank you. Any other changes to the agenda? All right. Well, we have a motion on the floor from, did we vote on it?
No, we have not, but
Yeah.
I will accept Tammy's amendment.
Thank you. Okay. Motion on the floor is amended for reordering of the agenda and removal of 436 and 461. Vice Chair Pro Tem, may you support?
I support it.
Okay, supported. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the agenda as amended, say aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right. Next, we will, let's see, we're going, let me see your motion. Thank you. All right, next we'll move forward to our first opportunity for public comment. It's the time for members of the public to address the board. Welcome to come to the podium. Please tell us your name and where you're from. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Time is displayed, and once your 3 minutes are up, your time to speak is finished. This is an opportunity to address the board in a professional and respectful manner. Is there anybody wishing to share public comment? Seeing nobody running for it. Dina, is there anyone online?
Here, there is not.
Thank you. With that, we will move to item 9, which is the presentation of the consent agenda. I'm no longer reading those into the record. Oh, I'm sorry there. I went ignoring your motion. We're going to move to item 11. Next is new business, item 2025-459. This is our presentation with the sheriff. Please join us, Sheriff Fuller.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Board, and administrative team. We appreciate the opportunity to present to you today. Our presentation does take the full 15 minutes, and I have Lieutenant Stephen Stride here with me. As you see, I also have other command officers here, team members that were working on this. So if there's a question that maybe one of us has to answer, I've brought the team. But I would ask that you hold all questions as much as possible until the end. Steve has a pretty good cadence down, and we want to make sure we get all of our information in for you guys, okay? So Stephen Stride, Lieutenant.
Welcome, Lieutenant Stride.
Thank you. Good evening. As Sheriff Fuller mentioned, my name is Steve Stride, and I'm the Technology Unit Lieutenant and System Administrator and Project Manager for our agency. The Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Office is seeking a new jail management system and records management system to increase efficiency, transparency, automate workflows, and reduce liability. Next slide. Thank you. Sorry, I went back one slide. Thank you. We'll briefly review why jail and records management systems are critical to the Sheriff's Office, why we are requesting the change, how we've come to our recommendations, and what is required to proceed. Next slide. Records and jail management systems are the most critical software applications used by the Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Office, and at their core, document events, people, offenses, and actions taken. Records and jail management systems improve efficiency, accountability, and risk management by tracking both individual and aggregated crime data, documenting events, reducing duplication and paperwork, and maintaining compliance with legal and regulatory requirements. Next slide. A records management system is a specialized software platform designed to track all the activities and criminal cases initiated by the Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Office. The RMS provides links between cases, allowing additional leads, criminal histories, and related cases to be found and tracked across the agency and other agencies as well. The RMS provides data reporting capabilities for crime mapping, crime prevention activities, community reporting, state and federal crime reporting, and employee management. The capabilities vary, ranging from very simple manual report writing system to unifying systems that track all aspects of the case and related information and provide automated alerts, reporting, and management features. Next slide, please. Our current records management system was chosen in 2019 and utilizes a very complex and time-consuming process across multiple databases and applications. Each application stands alone, and users are unable to see the data within each separate application. This requires time-consuming searches for cases across all 3 systems and a great deal of redundancy. Next slide, please. The new records management system will drastically improve our current workflow and reduce the number of data sources and applications to 1 from the current 3-part process. Information will also be immediately available to detectives and partners as opposed to up to a several day delay with our current system. Next slide. A jail management system is a specialized software platform designed to help manage the daily operations of the Kalamazoo County Jail. It streamlines and automates the collection, use, and analysis of data to support the administrative, security, and operational tasks of the jail. The JMS improves efficiency, accountability, and security by automating manual processes, reducing duplication and paperwork, and makes it easier to track our inmates' needs while maintaining compliance with legal and regulatory requirements. Next slide, please. Our current records and jail management systems were adopted in 2019. The system promised to track every possible field you could ever desire, but the net effect was over 800 fields to track per case. And similar complexity in the jail system. Our employees need to sort through dozens of pages to find the relevant fields, and the system provides no way to place the useful fields in one area or to manage how they are entered. For instance, the screenshots you can see on the slides show some of the multiple pages you have to enter for every single case. Next slide. The current system is complex with very limited automation and tedious manual entry. Another agency similar to ours on the same system ended up hiring 18 full-time clerical staff just to accomplish the data entry and records management portion. Next slide. While the system accepts hundreds of fields, only a small portion can easily be pulled and summarized or analyzed outside the system, and it utilizes proprietary closed reporting systems. The data is spread across multiple databases with little ability to drill down for the information we need. Our current RMS vendor, next slide. Our current RMS vendor was unable to import the data from our previous record system, and that data remains isolated on an old system nearing end of life. We are unable to query or retrieve the data using our current system, such as searching case histories or criminal histories. We also have an issue with data duplication. The way the existing software is designed, every agency has to have its own separate name record for every person. This results in multiple names being returned every time you search for someone. And when one agency updates a name, it doesn't update all the entries. So you have information that is out of date or inaccurate across the agencies. There's not enough system controls built in to prevent duplication of entries as well. So every time a user enters someone, if they aren't careful with their searches, you end up with multiple duplicates as well. For instance, the screenshot attached shows three instances of the same person, all with the same social security numbers, driver's license numbers, dates of birth, all of which should have been found and prevented from being entered. Next slide. The current system relies upon numerous outdated software components, lacks modern user authentication methods, and provides very limited auditing capabilities. We have additional cybersecurity concerns as well. Next slide. The above issues and lack of responsiveness from the current vendor prompted us to conduct an RFP, request for proposal, to collect features and data on other platforms and compare their products and prices. Over the course of 2023 to 2024, we assembled a team with 9 staff from across our functional disciplines, as well as staff from KDPS and WMU. The unified team evaluated 6 vendors providing records management systems across 1,200 specifications. Proposals were required to include project management, implementation, data conversion, interfaces with other agencies and the systems, and maintenance and support for 3 years with 2 one-year renewals. Next slide. The top 3 vendors were invited to conduct on-site demos. We sought feedback from other agencies utilizing the applications, and we conducted our own test environment to test out the system. A final candidate was selected for your approval, Axon Records. Next slide. Founded in 1993, Axon provides the system called Axon Records that provides the best match of features and price for our agency. Axon is built upon their existing products, many of which are already in use at KCSO, ranging from body-worn cameras, fleet cameras, tasers, and other Axon products. For instance, use of force reports would automatically be prompted and generated upon use of the taser. It tracks the activation, prompts the generation of the report, and video from body worn and fleet cameras is automatically attached to the report for review by command. All the records relevant to an incident will be automatically attached to the case, aiding case review, the discovery process, and prosecution. We've been extremely happy with Axon's products, reliability, their responsiveness, and their support for the very few issues that we've encountered. Next slide. Axon's Records RMS is web-based and very customizable, and it supports custom fields, hiding and showing fields based upon logic. And unlike other vendors, their products also includes all future updates and upgrades for mainline features as part of the package. We don't get charged every time you have to update. Our staff were impressed with the demo and the automations and workflow provided. Next slide, please. Records application is hosted and maintained by Axon and includes bi-weekly updates without any downtime for us, and utilizes CJIS compliant security methods required by the state and federal government. The KDPS agency has selected Axon Records for their own agency as well, and they're beginning the implementation process now. We anticipate integrating our data with theirs. Next slide. One of their strengths is the online reporting system. It exposes all data elements and it utilizes Microsoft Power BI rather than a proprietary reporting system. Here are some of the example reports and dashboards you can build in the system. All can be customized or built from scratch, ranging from crime analysis, next slide, to use of force dashboards broken down by categories, demographics, time of day, locations, you name it. Next slide. And there's also multiple reports tracking report completion, employee productivity, and case status. Next slide. On the JMS side, we also conducted an RFP to replace our current system. We again included staff from across the jail and support divisions, as well as command staff. We evaluated 7 vendors against 400 specifications covering the core content, project management, implementation, support, and other areas. The top, next slide. The top 3 vendors were again invited to conduct on-site demos. We did reference checks with agencies utilizing them, and a final candidate was selected for your approval, Black Creek Integrated Systems. Their product is called Sallyport. Next slide. Black Creek was founded in 1978. It provides a JMS system that provides the best match of features and price for our agency. Black Creek provides exclusively jail-related systems with a focus on product features not always found in your multi-product suite vendors. Black Creek has 51 customers and claims to have never lost a customer to date. We didn't believe them, so we started checking with other agencies utilizing their product, and not one of them is aware of an agency that has left Black Creek. All references were very complimentary of the application and the support that was provided. All future upgrades and updates are included with the support contract. Next slide. Sallyport also replaces our existing rounds system. Our rounds tracking system provides historical data that tracks the timing of jail corrections tour rounds, checking inmate statuses. But that data is currently only available after the shift is complete for historical review. The new system will provide real-time tracking, notifying corrections deputies before their rounds are due, and notifying sergeants if rounds are missed for immediate follow-up. This greatly reduces, this provides real-time protection and risk reduction for our jail residents and corrections deputies. The system also includes an EMR, or electronic medical assist or admin record. It also reduces risk and liability in medication administration, allowing electronic tracking of medications dispersed, and assisting with medical record keeping, such as physicals, conditions, and other statuses. Finally, it also supports portable devices for the first time, allowing us to track inmate locations, pull up inmate information, and other features anywhere in the jail. Next slide. The current RMS and JMS will cost $233,000 over the next 5 years, which can be then reallocated to the new system beginning upon adoption of the new system. The new system will also result in a significant time savings for uniformed and support staff. Next slide. The Exxon record system implementation cost is 1.4 million. Annual licensing and support is $35,784, and we have a small contingency built in case of technology or process changes throughout implementation. The implementation cost is spread out over 3 years according to implementation milestones that must be achieved before the amounts are released, and the annual cost drops to $35,784 thereafter. All prices are locked in for 5 years. Next slide. The jail management system will replace our current jail rounds tracking system, which is reaching end of life as well, and it will require a full hardware and software replacement anyway, were we to stick with it. We also had $85,000 budgeted for EMAR system, but we were unable to find an appropriate standalone system within that price. That money can be allocated to the new system as well. The Black Creek implementation cost is $931,000. Annual licensing and support starts at about $140,000, and the rate increases are locked for 5 years at the amounts provided. The implementation cost is payable during the anticipated 1 to 2 years of implementation, again according to milestones, and all prices are locked in for 5 years. Included is a contingency fund that was recommended by the County Project Board and are reviewed and approved, including representatives from B&G, IT, and administration. The fund provides for any technology or process changes that may occur. Next slide. The Exxon record system will improve the efficiency of our report writing system, automating processes and allowing the processes to be more straightforward and intuitive, allowing deputies to spend more time taking calls. The system will improve our data consistency, allowing us to produce timely reports and fully utilize all the data that we collect. Next slide. The new system will provide more time for our deputies to take calls and our support staff to provide records management duties instead. Our accreditation process depends heavily on robust data reports and tailoring our processes to meet accreditation standards, which is not possible with the current system. And it'll provide redundancy, continual feature and security updates, and be managed by our vendor. Next slide. Records will allow us to be more transparent with public-facing crime reports and community partner data sharing. They'll reduce our liability through integrations and automations that provide timely task management, use of force tracking, performance reviews, and notifications when follow-up is required. Finally, it allows us to better share data for a coordinated response with the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety, as well as community partners seeking to reduce recidivism, divert and assist those with mental health issues, and provide transparency for the justice process. Next slide. The Black Creek management system will provide a more focused booking process, ensuring that the critical data required is complete and accurate, while speeding the booking process to the benefit of both inmate and booking officer. It provides better data consistency and will improve our data reporting internally and externally. The system adds next slide. It adds new features we haven't had before, including real-time rounds tracking, EMAR, and medical mobile record management, all of which have the potential to improve inmate safety and reduce agency liability. Both systems are built to integrate their data between them, and all data entered in one system is available in the other. The system provides us the ability to share more data with our program and community partners to improve the effectiveness of our integrated efforts to improve the safety of the community, reduce recidivism, and better prepare inmates for release. Next slide. Our medical staff will be able to enter records once, preventing re-entry errors instead of the 3 times that they have to now, and free time for direct contact with inmates, retain their current information across multiple visits, and reduce the chance that a critical requirement, allergy, or condition is missed. It'll help manage what is historically one of the highest liability areas within a jail. As we work to implement jail accreditation and maintain our status, we'll rely heavily on the data reporting and process modification. The system has the flexibility to assist us in both endeavors. Next slide. Thank you. This provides the cost of the systems per year. As you can see, once the systems are implemented, the cost drops significantly for future years. We anticipate using the system far beyond the 5 years shown And note that all future patches and feature updates are included so long as we maintain support and licensing costs. We also show the cost reductions at the bottom from replacing our old systems and funding streams. In summary, on behalf of the Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Office, and based on the exhaustive process and research that our team conducted, we ask that you consider adopting these two systems to improve our staff's productivity, to reduce our county's liability, to improve data sharing across agencies and community partners, and improve outcomes for our county's crime reduction efforts. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. Sheriff Fuller.
So, Madam Chair, if you have any questions or anybody up here on the diocese has a question, like I said before, I've brought anybody that could answer the question if it's not me. And I'm not letting Steve leave until you guys say you're done with questions for the night. But again, we have a constant desire in the sheriff's office to serve more people in a more transparent way. We like to think that we do a pretty good job now, but when we look at the redundancies in the systems that exist and the issues related to getting out the information that we have put in over the years with prior systems, we recognize the need to move on to another system.
Vice Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chair. Reviewing what you presented is very comprehensive, very good report. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. You indicated that this would be compatible with Kalamazoo City's system. What about the other agencies in the county? How is it? Will it be integratable with Portage, with Richland, with Schoolcraft, Vicksburg, Augusta?
Right. So we recognize that Talon is a unit that is used by many of the outlying area agencies, and the fee that you guys pay into that every year, the outside agencies, that fee could be put into this system later on down the line if they want to join in. That's a whole discussion that we can have with them, and had some. When it comes to the integration of the information, there's only one jail in the county of Kalamazoo, and everybody brings any arrest to that one jail, minus a juvenile arrest, of course. So we know that keeping and having that information here only lends itself to a system that allows the others to come into. You might remember we did go down a path to researching these things early on with all the other agencies, with the thought process that we would all join a system. Ultimately, other systems were purchased by outlying area agencies as well as the agencies you mentioned. That does not mean that they could not join into these. When we talk about a 5-year plan here, we're really looking at something that's going to be 10 to 15 years in use. And we recognize that we will do all that we can to help these other agencies join into these systems. But at the same time, they'll always have our ability to look at the jail information to help keep track of who's going to jail, how often somebody goes to jail, what offenses somebody's going to jail for, which is going to be a key thing for information for any of the citizens reports that are asked for, or making sure that we continue our work with the bodies that are looking at law enforcement statistics. Yes.
Commissioner Gissler.
Yes, just one clarification. When you say fleet cameras early on in the Axon, that refers to the cameras in the patrol cars?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Chair Taylor.
Thank you very much, Sheriff, and I appreciate the presentation. I've got you bear with me, I kind of wrote down my questions, so they might feel a little scattered here, but I'll try to get to as much of them as I can. Now, first off, we set aside, I think it was $1.5 million for a records management system previously. Would this records management system suffice to collect the type of data that we're seeking from the
Yes. So the easy answer is yes. When we sought the RFP, we made sure that the things that were being asked of us regarding that monies that had been set aside would be addressed in this. So the company that we did choose came through the RFP process, as well as Axon. So we have Axon and Black Creek, who are partner organizations. They highly complement each other,
And we recognize that the information will, move from one to the other easily. And again, part of that is recognizing the jail will have that information to share.
And that's a key component, but we're also looking at everything from, how homeless shelters, transitional housing, hospitals, those sort of information. So, we as a board can make the best decisions with dollars as possible. So that would still suffice and be able to be integrated with that.
Yes, one of the strengths of the system is you can add custom fields at any point and any point in the process. So if there are certain fields that need to be tracked or certain data elements we discover over time, we can add those ourselves. We don't have to pay for additional modifications or try to shoehorn something in that wasn't built for it.
Okay, so a couple more if I may, Chair. Also, you talked about our current record management system was purchased in 2019. So it's only 5.5 years old at this point. Yeah, and I understand. Is that part of the transition that we did with our other systems throughout the county?
It is.
Okay, gotcha. And I won't ask any more on that. I think that answers that line of questioning for me. The second one is you talked about increased efficiency with staffing. Would that obviously not an immediate effect or whatever, but as far as we looked at long-term staffing needs, that would maybe potentially be a reduction as far as time for the clerical side of things could be moved more over to roads. Am I kind of getting into that sort of?
Yeah, so what we were looking at is the system that we currently use. It was found throughout the history of the system that we would have to add more professional staff to do the typing, the keeping track of the records, etc. And recognizing that that is not the efficient use of a system that we wanted. That's another reason a few years ago we started this research.
Okay. And you talked about one department needing up to 18 staff to do all those data entries for that. And I have one more question if I can find it. Sorry about that. So the current the records management side and the jail management side with the that was my question. Your contingency rate that was built into each one. I noticed it was exactly 20%. Is there a sort of that seems kind of high for a contingency rate to be at such a high number? Is that traditional for technology projects to have such a high contingency? Go ahead, Steve.
As part of the process, we submitted the proposal to the county's project board. It consists of representatives from county admin, from B&G, and from county IT. And they recommended that we build in a contingency fund of that amount with the intent of over time, technology can change during implementation. And there usually are small things here or there that either is different from one agency to another in the implementation or other things like that. So the recommendation was made to us to include the 20% contingency to cover that.
Okay. I'm unfamiliar with technology projects and how that, but most projects at 20% contingency rate is extremely high. So that's a big unknown. That's 1/5 of the total cost of the project. But I don't know technology and infrastructure stuff as well as others.
On the jail management side, it does also include adding wireless access points throughout the jail, the wiring for that, the mobile devices, prices of which may change over time. So a lot of that is very relevant for the contingency, I believe.
So of the overall 3.6, we have 1.5 budgeted already set aside from, I think it was ARPA was the funding stream. But so really it's about a 2.1 over a 5-year ask.
That's how we're looking at it, and that's how I would like you guys to look at it as well, and prefer that that'd be the path that we had taken. The other thing too, I just want to point out that the records for our medical staff that we've been unable to achieve anyplace else because no one wants to take on this project, being the size that it's not a hospital, it's not filled with hundreds of clients, which it really is. That's included in this, and it has a high rating. So our nursing staff is excited about being able to track our inmate patient population better and manage that with our doctor as well. And the last thing I'll mention again is the
tracking, the rounds tracking. Part of running the jails as successfully as we do is being able to identify where the jobs are still being done and how they're being done by tracking the deputies' work throughout the system. And that way, if there's a complaint, we can guide the complaint down a path of unfounded because we found where the deputies were doing their job, or maybe we have more research to do because we didn't find the information we needed to find.
Okay. Well, I guess to the board, I think this is a necessity that we need to do. And the question then becomes, does this meet, I'd like the data advisory board or that group to go through this and make sure that the record management system meets what we're trying to do and our overall arching, what we've been trying for a couple of years with our record management. I think that makes sense. I guess it just comes of what funding source, how do we do it? And I would probably work with our finance director. I certainly see the need to move forward. I just want to make sure that our data people are on board with it first, if that makes sense. Yeah, and our data collection team is going to see exactly what you guys are seeing tonight. We wanted to hold off showing that team this. I've met with the CCJT team, who are part of the group that we're talking about, the data collection information systems. And they are prepared to work with us to have a meeting here within the next month to present this to that team as well. They're certainly smarter than me in this aspect. So I take their advice on it, but I certainly see the need. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. So I'll just lift up again, whenever we're looking at big price tags, there's lots of competing priorities, but overall, this does help us provide an opportunity to increase criminal justice transparency to the community, along with more effective functioning of your systems, more safety for people that are residents of the jail, better safety for officers. I like that, thinking about the medical documentation, this board has discussed through liability issues related to, healthcare management. And we really need to understand that, there's significant expense in the jail related around inmate healthcare, and that's a human right and civil rights issue. Yeah. So, as this interfaces with that overall criminal justice transparency work, I think it's really important. The city of Kalamazoo is using Axon. They have their collaboration with the Upjohn Institute. And part of that work that they advanced there involves, for them, a crime analyst on staff. And I wonder if Sheriff would be willing to sort of look at the way you're structuring your budget or come forward with a dedicated position to help with crime analysis, utilizing this data and making sure we're collaborating and getting it out to the community.
So we're on the same wavelength. One of the things that we hope to achieve through this is to be able to utilize some different positions. And I know the undersheriff's working on a presentation to hopefully give soon that will show where we're trying to utilize some positions that could be put into this field right here.
Great, thank you so much. Any others? Vice Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chair. Also, the data or the system that you're currently using, which is 5 years old or thereabouts, are you going to be able to integrate this into this system, or will it just kind of be off on the shelf somewhere or something? Just out of curiosity, I'm just kind of wondering how you're going to manage that system on the side. I support with what you're saying, and we appreciate this presentation. Concerned about the cost, obviously, that's my job. Yes. Your job is to find the solution. So we'll work on that.
So your question is one from experience, and I appreciate that. Steve has a real good answer for that, though.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons for the implementation cost is data conversion. So the data conversion brings the data from our old systems over into the new one and allows us to have a hard point where we cut off the old system and we don't have to go back and manually do separate searches for all the information. We don't have to worry about the old system reaching end of life someday and dying on us and losing the data. So that's one of the reasons for the implementation costs is to move that data, convert it, move it over into the new system and make it available so that it's integrated with it.
Madam Chair.
Council.
Mayor, I'd just like the body to be aware, excuse me, that the State Department of Technology Management and Budget recently updated the retention schedule as regards local law enforcement agencies. That includes over 225 items. 25 of those items are specific to county jail retention of records. So that's somewhat new that they've redone that, but they just did that in December, and so that makes this very timely. And if I may, Corporation Counsel's office is in support of this in regards because of the retention schedule. Thank you.
Thank you for elevating that mandate for us, Commissioner Gissler.
Thank you, Chair. I support what you're asking for, Rick and Steve. Part of that is because you did such a good job of selecting Axon for your body cameras. That seems to have been worked out real well. And I assume you have some of the same consultants within your organization and without that are guiding you on this one. This question, I don't think applies really to what you're talking about, data management and jail systems management. But I understand that the shooting at the Metro Center, I don't know, what, a couple months ago, where the person found not guilty, but was arrested, I think ultimately, was caught on facial recognition software and it was Metro and therefore the county's facial recognition, and that does not mesh with the city's. So the person, I don't know if he was wandering through the city, but the facial recognition that was captured at the Metro Transit Center didn't talk to the facial recognition system of the city. First of all, tell me if I'm full of it there, and that's not right. And before I shut up, and I will shut up, I want to compliment Steve on his hairline. Thank you.
Low maintenance.
He works hard on that. So I can't go into any detail as to what they were or unable to collect from the information systems there. But this system has nothing in it that would be a facial recognition. And that would take a lot more research before I would ever bring something like that to the board. Yep.
Good. Thank you, Sheriff, for the presentation and the dialogue.
Thank you all. And these guys are thanking you also for not reaching out and asking them any questions. They're pleased. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Chair, if I may,
Yes,
just ask a couple of
Administrator.
questions and just share.
Yes, thank you.
Just so that we have clarity in the process. One, I believe, and I want, because the sheriff is still here, obviously, I want to ensure that we're overt in, kind of presenting, I believe, the path forward. So just to confirm, I believe, if I'm understanding correctly, the sheriff's office would like to move forward with the JMS first. Is that correct?
Ideally together, but if we had to, for some reason, one over the other, but we think that the package we've put together here tonight should help us with a path forward to get both at the same time.
Okay.
Due to trainings. If we bring them both at the same time, it's one training, overtime, people involved, and technology bleed in.
Okay, no, that's good. Just that we're clear in administration, and then also in working with finance in the budget process, we need to ensure that we're in lockstep with the budget process then as well, but recognizing that these quotes are only valid for so long, and also recognizing that the board had earmarked funding for a JMS RMS system. So we have to kind of talk through that so that it doesn't appear that one department is circumventing the budget process and in a way, and that's not intentional. We're kind of dealt the cards that we have because the systems are aging and they're not supported, but we have to ensure that we have an established process. So I just wanted to make that clear, but we'll continue working with the sheriff's office, with the board of commissioners to kind of get this implemented and trued up.
Thank you, Administrator. Sheriff, do we have a timeline on the quote that we've received at this point?
So the companies involved understand that we are here now. And so I think we're pretty good right now. And we can get more of a timeline as to what they're really looking for. But we've been working on this project for quite a while. We've had the bids for a while, and they do know that we are here right now.
Commissioner Morales.
Thank you, Chair. I think he answered, and then Administrator, that question was brewing in my head since we, finance was up there for 45 minutes talking about our budgeting process, and this looked like about 3 extra million over a 5-year period, correct? So, yeah. Did I see 3 million somewhere?
It's there and north.
Okay. Anyway, so I just want to be cognizant of that because we did just have a long conversation about retirement and all the things, but great presentation. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Vice Chair.
Just really quick, I am in favor of doing them both at the same time. We've got 1.5. I think your total cost was 3.6, right? And we've got 1.5 there, so it's 2.1 extra. So it'd be about 2.1 on top, and that's over a multi-year period of time. Just speaking, I'd like to see some of it come from capital improvement projects, because I think part of that is some of it's probably going to have to come from unallocated strategic reserves. It's going to have to come from multiple sources. I completely have full faith in Ryan to come up with the best scenario for that. He's really good at that. But I think it's needed. The whole 3.6 isn't due at year one, but about 2 of it, as I understand, is, and we've got 1.5 set aside. So that for year one, it's about 500,000, and then for years 2 through 5, that's when we have to come up over that 4-year period of time for 2.1. So it'd be about $500,000, $550,000 annually operationally. We can look to see how we get there, but I certainly think it's a priority that we need to do, and especially the records management portion of it, because the ability that we can go out into our community and know which programs are actually effective, how we can lower our recidivism rate, stop this revolving door of people getting arrested, getting out for 7 days, getting arrested again, but getting people the help that they need and getting them in the programs that they need to become productive members of society. That's what this record management system is going to do for us. And I think it's a big time cost savings in the long run. And it's just a more humane way to run society, really.
Thank you, Sheriff, for your time and the dialogue. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we will move forward to the consent agenda.
I move that we pass the consent agenda as a one-time vote, be considered by a roll call, or one-time roll call vote, and be considered a consent agenda by the board, minus the ones that Commissioner Ray took off.
A motion made by Vice Chair Taylor, supported by Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler to approve the consent agenda as amended. Please, clerk, call the roll.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler.
Yes.
Commissioner Mazer.
Yes.
Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
Commissioner Ray.
Yes.
Chair Stribbs.
Yes.
Vice Chair Taylor.
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler. Commissioner DeLue.
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. All right, we'll move to our 2 items pulled by Commissioner Ray. The first is item 2025-436. Commissioner Ray?
Do you need a motion first before we can discuss it?
Yes, please.
Sure. I'll move.
Motion made by Commissioner Ray, supported by Commissioner Morales. Discussion. Commissioner Ray.
Thank you, Chair. So I just had a question about like what the bylaws currently state. What are we changing and why are we making a change?
Council.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Corporation Counsel's Office received a direction to update and provide the body with an amendment to the bylaws for the appointment. Currently, under the bylaws, in regarding initial appointments made by this body, which require an interview before the Board of Commissioners, it includes the Road Commission, the Kalamazoo County Transportation Authority, Integrated Services of Kalamazoo, the Kalamazoo County Aeronautics Board, as well as the Kalamazoo County Land Bank and the Public Housing Authority. We were instructed to remove the Transportation Authority, ISK, the Land Bank Authority, the Public Housing Authority, so that interviews can take place at the Board Appointments Committee with the recommendation made to this body for action. But this body would still have to interview appointments to the Road Commission and the Aeronautics Board.
Vice Chair Taylor.
Just to answer your question, I think you asked why, and this was my reason. And it was pretty much a selfish one. A lot of the time we have a Kalamazoo County Transportation Authority or a Housing Authority or something, and there'll be two people interviewing for two spots. And I feel it's a bit intimidating for people to come and interview for the full board. And quite frankly, not the best use of time for the full Board of Commissioners when we've got a great committee that's going and looking through those stuff. Chair Streb serves on it, Tammy serves on it. Basically, I'm giving your committee more work, so there's less work for the full board, and that is the gist and complete honesty of it. That was my reasoning.
Commissioner Morale.
So, yeah, I have some questions around that too. I think that they should still come. And with ISK, I mean, we have remote options, number one. Number two, if the next suggestion was for us who wanted to be a part of it to make room to attend those meetings, that's not going to work with me and my schedule that I already planned out with work. The next thing was like keeping the road commission on there and letting everybody else bow out still feels like we're picking on the road commission. So I don't think that that's fair, especially as hard of a time we've had to try to build a relationship with them over this year. So I am not in support. I think they should still come. In the past, we've had some discrepancies and people not showing up and us still giving them the position, or people showing up and, you know, we want more. A lot of this is because we changed our time from 7 to 6:30 and we're going over with meetings. And for me, it feels like our 6:30 meeting is so rushed when that's what we're paid to be here for, to have interviews, to have robust discussions, and take care of county business. So I don't want to put any more pressure on the appointments committee, and maybe that's something I'll look into sitting on next year. But for now, I'm not in support of that. It's our job to be here. And if it runs over, for me, it runs over, or we push the time back to 7 o'clock.
Thank you, Commissioner Morales. Commissioner DeLue.
Well, I agree with Vice Chair Taylor for a couple of reasons. First of all, we do the interviews at the committee of the whole, so it doesn't. The 6:30 time shouldn't affect anybody. And I sit on the Board Appointments Committee, and I think we do a good job picking candidates. And when it comes to interviewing people, and I've said this before, I don't really put a whole lot of stock in the interviews because they're given the questions beforehand. So it's almost like they're taking an open book test. And so they come in here in the interview, they've got their answers all prepared, and they're all good answers because they know what they're going to be asked. And so I don't mind the extra work for the Board Appointments Committee. I mean, that's why we're there. We meet twice a month. And I think it would help this board in the committee of the whole meetings not to have to interview people for these positions. So I support it.
Thank you, Commissioner DeLue. I'll just go ahead, Commissioner Ray.
Thank you, Chair. So I disagree with Commissioner DeLue. As far as the Board Appointments Committee, I don't think that is why we're there. I think meeting twice a month with the number of applications and interviews that we see is a little excessive. I think it's a lot. I don't know the technical reason, but I believe there is a reason why we are interviewing those people at the full board level. Those are really important positions. I think the full board should talk to the folks who want to sit on the Public Housing Commission or the Land Bank Board. Those are really important authorities and not just another committee right within the county. So I'm also not in support of making this change.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Ray. I'll just articulate, I think part of the issue, and I think Board Appointments Committee could also and we will have some discussion about refining the interview process, the questions, and potentially how we structure our time. I think we are meeting often, we are doing lots of interviews, and it ends up not being the most efficient for county staff, for interested candidates, for the bodies as well. I think we do need to refine that process. Having the interviews moved to the board appointment committee is not because those positions are not important. All of them are important. Certainly the authorities are very important. The road commission, because there is sort of a partisan tension around the selection of that process, makes sense for it to remain at the full board level. Plus they receive a significant, a substantial salary, or I don't know if the right word is, they get a good bit of pay to serve in that role. But most of the other positions are volunteer in basis. So some of the rationale that we need to be in front of the full board, and ultimately the full board receives a recommendation and still has the authority to make a change, to vote, to advance other issues. So mostly for efficiency, I'm comfortable with moving it down to board appointments committee. Commissioner Gisler.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I agree. And I want to pay you a compliment of running the appointments committee as efficiently as you do. There are times when, you know, everybody's looking for the exit, but you do a good job, and I appreciate that. And I don't see any reason why the appointments committee can't take care of business for everybody other than the ones that Lou mentioned. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the changes of the bylaws. Clerk, would you please call a roll?
Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales,
No.
Commissioner Ray,
No.
Chair Strebbs,
Yes.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler, Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler.
Yes.
6 yes.
Right, that motion carries. Thank you for the dialogue. I hate disagreeing with some of my colleagues sometimes. Let's go to the next item pulled, item 2025-461. Commissioner Ray?
I'll make the motion to approve. Excuse me.
Motion by Commissioner Ray, supported by Vice Chair Taylor. Let's open discussion with Commissioner Ray.
Thank you, Chair. Excuse me. So this one I'm also not in support of. I am not in support of us doing presentations at the 6:30 meeting. They make the meetings long. I think we should reserve that time for county business. We just made the previous change to be more efficient, but then we're going to move long presentations, 30-minute presentations, to a 6:30 meeting that we wanted to shorten and not read the consent agenda. Like, it all just kind of contradicts itself. Makes no sense to me. I think we should schedule presentations of the committee of the whole. And if there are too many, move it to the next meeting. I don't think that we should be going over it. We should have 4 and 5 presentations. I don't think that we should be doing that, but I also don't think that they should be rolling over into our 6:30 meeting. We should just handle county business, and that's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Morales?
I agree with that. And I mean, we need a hard time. Sometimes we go in extensive dialogue. I mean, we had our finance, director standing there for 45 minutes. I think we need to scale back on that. And if it's 10 minutes, as our agenda say, or 15 minutes, then we need to let them get through the presentation and then have 5 minutes, and whatever else we don't understand, send it in an email, have the administrator or corporate counsel get back with us. So I am not in support if, we're talking about condensing time and then we're adding something else to 6:30 when it was 7 and we want to get out earlier. So I agree with Commissioner Ray. County business 6:30. This is our time to handle county business.
Thank you. Vice Chair Taylor?
Yeah, for the same reasons I disagreed the first time, I agree the second time, for efficiency reasons. I think we could do all of our presentations at the cow. I'm good with that. That
for efficiency reasons, that makes sense. And I've got to give a kudos to our finance director for standing up there and listening to me go after him for 30 minutes. I mean, it's I feel it's like our job to kind of spat with one another. And I think he does an excellent job putting the needs and the thoughts of the county first. And so I appreciated that from him.
So I'm just going to disagree with my honorable colleagues again, but just to articulate why you all know I'm not worried about getting out early. So sorry about that. I know. But I also think that there is value in having an open and transparent dialogue in front of the community around decisions that we're making. Affording a spot in the bylaws that we can hold a presentation at the regular business meeting just avoids us having to make an awkward motion like was needed tonight. We could have not had this presentation, which we could kick that business down further, but it just prolongs until we can advance. So tonight with this presentation, it kicks forward the process where finance and administration and the sheriff's office get to have more dialogue about how do we solve that problem and integrate it into the budget process. But we would be waiting longer to do that. So our goal will be to be efficient. If we have presentations and they'll fit in the cow, we won't have one later at the regular business meeting. It just affords us the opportunity if we need to without having to fumble through additional motions. All right, any further discussion? All right, with that, clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Morales?
No.
Commissioner Ray?
No.
Chair Strubs?
Yes.
Vice Chair Taylor?
No.
Commissioner Wheeler? Commissioner DeLue?
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler?
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler?
Yes.
Commissioner Mazer?
Yes.
5 yes.
All right, that motion carries. All right, thank you for the dialogue, everyone. All right, we'll move forward. Let me get my papers back out. We're back at public comment.
I believe there's one additional item, Chair, under non-consent.
Thank you so much. There we go. Okay, item 2025-451. This is the request for approval to authorize board chair draft and sign letters supporting Kalamazoo County government funding as it relates to programs, projects, and services on behalf of the Board of Commissioners. Motion made by Vice Chair Taylor, supported by, by Commissioner Ray. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Now with that, we move to our final opportunity for public comment. Welcome to join us at the podium. Share your name and where you're from. 3 minutes to address us in a respectful manner. Is anyone wishing to make public comment? Welcome. You got a little button with a person on it in front of you. There it is. Good. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kai Gritter, and I'm with Michigan State University Extension. I really came here today just to say good evening and thank you for your support. I'm serving in an interim role as a district director. Julie Pioch, our former district director, retired in February, and so I just wanted to come here and reach you all and say thank you for your support.
Excellent. Welcome to you. Thank you. All right, Dina, do we have anyone online?
Here we do not.
All right, seeing no others, we will end public comment. Move forward to reports from officers, bodies, the administrator, and the controller. So I'll try to summarize tonight. I think, thank you for the work of my colleagues, for administration staff, our finance staff, our sheriff's department. This week is Easter week is coming up on Sunday, and it's an opportunity for us to reflect on many things, and for people of Christian faith, it's a time to reflect on what is it in the teachings, and it called on us to again the foundation of most of the major religions, to love each other, to serve justice, to be a buoy for each other in the storms. And we continue to face what are very troubling times in our nation. They're not viewed that way yet by everyone because we live in different spheres of information. But at a point, as I've said before, it will be clear. I want to offer a short reading from the Constitution of the United States, Amendment number 5, part of our foundational Bill of Rights. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime, unless on the presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall a person be subject to the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Amendment number 5 of the Constitution affords all people with the right to due process. And I just want to, hopefully everyone has heard his name, but we are aware of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a legal permanent resident of the United States from Maryland, who was kidnapped and erroneously deported to El Salvador, where now he's sitting in a concentration camp funded by our dollars. On Saturday, the day before Easter, there is another call to action for all people in this country. If we are concerned about where we are going and what this country is and what we value, the only way to keep it is to lift up your voice. The only way. And without it, the risk becomes much greater than it is of lifting your voice right now. Comfort is a powerful tool to keep us in silence. Fear works wonders on nations of people. But don't let it do that to you. Don't let it do that to you. Use your voice. Join with protests that will occur on April the 19th. On April the 20th, on Easter, we will receive a report to the White House from the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Defense, whether or not is it appropriate for the current President of the United States to invoke the Insurrection Act, which affords the presidency broad authority to undermine civil liberties and civil rights. Some make the argument that Mr. Garcia isn't protected by the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, which says no person shall face these issues without the protection. Not a citizen, no person. Because as I said last time, if Mr. Garcia can't make his case in court, how do I make one? How do you make one? If somebody picks you up off the street, how do you say, wait, you've made a mistake, you have the wrong person, before you're sitting in a cell with hundreds of other people in El Salvador, and you know what, oops, now that you're there, it's just too late to fix. So don't let it be you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. We've done a couple of things today, and one of the things in our consent agenda that I want to lift up and elevate was our equalization report. That's one of the biggest revenue sources that we get as a county is our property taxes. It's got in there a little over 7% on our equalization report. We budgeted 5 for operation and an extra 3 for capital improvement. So we've got about 2.09 for our capital improvement portion of it. I think that's great. It's showing continued growth in this county. It's showing a continued ability for us to, at least without cuts to the federal government, meet the basic needs of the citizens of Kalamazoo County. And so that is great. Our pension discussion that we had tonight, I've got to give, again, I've done this a couple times. I got to give kudos to our finance director for standing up for our current employees. And that was his job. That was what he was supposed to do, and say, this is I still want to get a grasp of our employee benefit fund and what that structural surplus is and how much that can absorb of the yearly contribution. But I think it was a great discussion. And this is defined benefit plans don't have cost of living increases very often. It is an extreme rarity, and only because of our conservative long-term approach. And part of that is I caution the board, yes, we have the ability to do something, but that doesn't mean we have the ability to do a lot of something. And sometimes both sides are unhappy when you do the right thing. Maybe the retirees are unhappy because they're not getting enough, or maybe the red committee is unhappy because we're dropping down to 102 or 103% overfunded, and nobody's happy. But quite frankly, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do something for our retirees because we can. And I don't think and we have to, as Chair said, number one priority is protect the pension of our current employees. And that always has to be our number one priority. Secondly, not next to last, Western hockey. Some exciting, I hope everybody was celebrating. The Broncos have a national championship. And we are college hockey town USA in Kalamazoo. We're going to win a lot more of those. So I'm really, really excited about that. And lastly, the difference when a man or a woman runs for office, and the woman has to be asked 5 times, multiple times to run for office. A man usually only has to be asked once. And that's just the truth. There's no lack of self-confidence on that part. But I think she thought I was joking when I originally was talking about it. But our chair, she thought I was joking. But I watched the growth of our chair. I watched the passion with how she speaks. And I think that she should run for governor of the state of Michigan. So I'm saying it publicly on the dais. You can get your T-shirt.
I'm getting a T-shirt made. I'm getting one made.
Taylor thinks I should run for governor, and I would gladly wear one as well. So, with that, Bo, if you're still up, it's time for bed.
That's a good one. Vice Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chair. Kudos to this board for the many things that we are dealing with. Our administration and this board are dealing with many things are on our plate, trying to take care of our retirees that have retired and make sure that the ones that are working will have a good pension when they retire also, or at least. So it's important that we review these things and keep them on our radar and deal with them. Had a great presentation from our chair. I hope you all get a chance to review your Michigan Works that you received tonight. That's important for us to keep an eye on. We want to keep our people working. That's what makes this community a great place to live, work, and play. And our employees that work for the county. And you see them, give them a thank you for their hard work and all the things that we cover, from the people that do our DPW work, to our health department, to our courts, to our law enforcement folks, and our county roads, those folks that are out there constantly. And thank our committee members. We have a lot of people that are on our committees that we appoint to help us direct the policies and make this county work work well. Also keep in mind our military folks, as I always say, our law enforcement firefighters, our medical people that are there 24/7 trying to keep us safe as we can as we deal with some tragedies that we faced with weather and traffic accidents, etc. Tell them thanks when you see them and try to have a safe Easter and take care of your families, your friends. Keep them in mind. We have many blessings as citizens of not just Kalamazoo and our individual communities, villages, cities, and townships, but the state of Michigan and the country, United States of America. We have many blessings, and we need to be thankful for those and take care of our families and friends. Thanks.
Thank you. Administrator.
Yes, thank you, Chair, Vice Chair Pro Tem, Commissioners, audience. I wanted to recognize that tonight I distributed on behalf of Director Bunkart Bibb, Southwest Michigan Works Director, their 2024 annual report. So that's been distributed to the board and filed with the clerk as well. So I wanted to just recognize that. Several updates. One, I wanted to just give a shout out to our road commission. They've actually been working with us in our emergency management to house all of their equipment and apparatus that we currently have stored with a great partner of ours, Craig McDonald with McDonald's Towing, but we're able to work with the road commission to house all of that equipment and have it be secured. So we're wanted to recognize that partnership. So Director James and our emergency management specialist, Casey Coffey, will be working with the road commission to shift those items over. We're also pursuing a potential partnership between the dispatch authority, city of Portage, and the emergency management as far as emergency operation centers are as far as those operation centers are developed and implemented. So there's a potential partnership that we'll kind of fill the board in on as we kind of true up some of those details and finalize specifics. So there's a meeting, I believe this Thursday actually, that Director James will be involved in. So we should hopefully have something before the board in the next couple of months or so. On that topic of emergency management, there's a lot of emergency management things, but all of the disaster relief funding that was awarded by the state has finally been received and distributed. So that's a good thing. So the Kalamazoo Community Foundation, United Way of South Central Michigan, and After the Storm all have funding in their hands. The only caveat is that the city of Portage, who's administering the business relief program, that funding is received on a reimbursement basis, but they are willing to front that money and then receive it back from the MEDC upon filing their invoices and receipts. So we're happy about that. Also have rekindled that discussion with Metro and Metro Transit and the Pavilion Estates. There were some miscommunications there, but reached out to Director McBride, and he's working with the Pavilion Estates Yes Communities management company to ensure that transportation efforts are elevated there. Wanted to remind everyone that the transitional family housing shelter bid closes on April 21st. So we'll be bringing that information back to the board. We'll potentially need to host interviews and with those vendors that responded to ensure that we understand kind of the intricacies of their proposals, and then we'll bring an option back to the board in the near future. Two last things on May 20th. So the second meeting in May, that'll have to be staffed by Director Post. So because myself and the deputy county administrators are attending the Michigan Association of County Administrators Officers Conference in Crystal Mountain. So we'll be available on Zoom. We'll still attend the meeting and be present, but the physical body that will be here will be Ryan Post. And unfortunately, it's just that day conflicts with the actual conference. So I think we start Tuesday and we come back Friday. So then lastly, as you know, we have hired a lobbyist. One, we want to bring the lobbyist in at an upcoming meeting so that he can introduce himself. His name is Graham Filler, works for McAlvey and Associates, very familiar with this area and with Kalamazoo. He used to be an actual legislator as well. He's hitting the ground running. We've have him working on a lot of the EPA stuff some of those issues that we've been working on, also elevating some of our legislative directed spending requests up through those proper channels. So he's excited and hitting the ground running, but we want to bring him in so that he can understand and get to know the board, understand your priorities. But lastly, and most importantly, what he wants to do is coordinate a Kalamazoo County day at the Capitol, and hopefully sometime in May is when he'd like to do it, where you would be able to meet with our legislative delegation. Not that we don't do that already a lot, but it gives us an opportunity to kind of sit down with them, kind of go over some of our priorities and goals and elevate some of those items, so that they're aware as they kind of go through their budget process at the state level. So I'll shoot around an email and we'll try to garner some dates, and then he can kind of come up with an agenda to propose to the board as that day approaches. So schedule of events per se. So that's all I have this evening. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Administrator? I forgot to say earlier, we had the intergovernmental roundtable earlier this week, though, thanks to the Road Commission for hosting that. But some of that dialogue is just also helping us to kind of glean priorities, not just from our perspective as county government, but across all of the local units together, so that we can speak with more of a unified voice and accomplish more together. So thank you, Administrator. Which way do y'all want me to go first? You want to go this way? Commissioner Morales.
Thank you, Chair. So congratulations to Pastor Bell for 25 years of pastoral service and celebrating 50 years. That's a long time to be a pastor and still moving and shaking through the community. I will say, in efforts of gun violence and keeping the community together, including those victims who may not be able to, that may have not belonged to a church, he affords his church to them for free so that their families can grieve properly. So I appreciate him and what addition he adds to our community. I want to shout out Harvard for rejecting the current administration's DEI efforts to shut them down and what they're calling illegal. And one thing they said that really resonated with me was that no government, regardless of which party is in power, should dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, and which areas of study and inquiry they can pursue. I was impressed with that, because that's historically predominantly white university of over, almost 200 years, maybe 300 years, for them to step up and say, I don't care who you represent, you can't come here and take this away from our campus. So with all of the things that's going on, I just encourage us all to be steadfast, because you never know. Like you said, that gentleman was picked up. There are on our campuses, law enforcement is showing up. I know they showed up at Central Michigan University, and they're detaining students who are just going to class. And I mean, that could be pretty devastating when you're far away from home. So I encourage this board, no matter what side that you are on, is that you fight for those without your privilege. And to think about that really, really hard, based off the decisions that we make for, our entire county. I have to sit in privilege too at sometimes, because years ago, I don't know if we would have ever even thought about 3 people of color on the board at the same time. Not one here and there, but consistently that women of color have been elected to serve and make unanimous decisions with folks that are not on the same party lines or the same age range. Our seasoned vets who are on this board, not only in board leadership, but in age, who have seen, how this world has changed. I mean, it has to affect people in some ways. And if it don't, I ask you to reconsider, how you fight for those that don't have your privilege. So happy Easter. don't boil no eggs because we already in an egg shortage. Get some plastic eggs and put some candy in them. And y'all have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Mazur.
Just two short items. I attended the Texas Township Committee of the Whole yesterday, and they had a wonderful presentation after the storm was there. And so the room was packed, and so a lot of people were able to get some really good information and some hope. And then the other thing, happy Easter.
Thank you. Commissioner Gisler.
Excuse me. Thank you, Chair. The only comment, and I guess it's because I see Michelle sitting over there, and she isn't wearing that beautiful black uniform that we saw on display by the sheriff and Steve. I still think those are spectacular. Please convey that to the sheriff. Just yesterday, my small group, Kalamazoo Citizens for Responsible Government, had a presentation from Nick Culp, the head of communications for the Palisades nuclear plant. It was sensational. Lou gave me a couple of questions because he couldn't attend, but and I read your entire thing, that you sent to me, and the answer as you posed it at the end of your paragraph was, here's question one, question two, and the answers, I think I told you earlier, no and no. Obviously, Lou knows a lot about nuclear energy. He was talking about new kinds of non-uranium material, and it was stuff I'd never heard of. So you're a marked man now.
I am supportive.
Oh, no, you said that, but you just had some questions about how far things had gone in some directions. I will also mention that on May 12th, that next KCRG meeting will be at the Career Tech Center at Sprinkle and I-94. And Eric Stewart, the head honcho there, I think they're having an open house on the 22nd of May, and he has given us the possibility of getting in there a few days early. And he said, if I'll move my meeting to his location, he'll even buy donuts and coffee. So, but he does want to have a head count. So anybody that doesn't normally attend these sessions that would like to get an opportunity to stroll through the Career and Tech Center on the 12th of May. This is a good opportunity. Let me know and I'll get a head count. And I'll probably pick up some donuts myself just to make sure that we don't run out. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner DeLue.
Actually, I don't have anything tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. With nothing else before us, we are adjourned.